Okay, pretty much experts. Episode whatever it is. I've lost count, which is sweet. We lost count. I'm Robert John.
Yep.
This is my brother Mike.
Hello.
And my brother Skylar.
Hey, everybody.
We had a few technical difficulties getting things rolling today, but I think we're there.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we got this. We got this.
We're pretty much there.
You didn't have to tell them. They wouldn't have known.
No.
Well, maybe it's like foreshadowing if something totally goes fucked, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
27 minutes in.
It's good to be nice and transparent.
I want to be transparent.
Yeah.
true. Like glass.
Like glass.
Like the ghost of JFK.
Wow.
Ooh,
Look at the
especially his
segue.
head.
I looked at the date, and I'm terrible at math. Is this week 55 years? 55
Yeah.
years.
Jesus.
So we want to talk
So
about
you'd be
JFK conspiracies.
Mm-hmm.
mainly the assassination. No one cares about when he was in like World War II or anything.
I don't think he actually did that. I think that's another conspiracy.
He did. He was on two different boats.
Two different boats from the, like, you know, staying in the
Yeah.
back.
Oh, I don't think he did much. I think he like I don't know. I read a weird story about him like his boat crashing and them having to swim for like safety, and he like got his whole crew saved. Kind of like Cotton Hill.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
And they
Come
didn't
on,
chop him down at the shins, eh?
Swim over here.
No. He had to give him fatty. The sharks were
Got a
hungry,
fat
so he
neck.
had to give him fatty. God, heck, you got a fat neck.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of King of the Hill, Mike Judge has got a cool new show called Tales of the Tour Bus.
Oh, the country music show.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
country music show.
it's fucking
I just
funny.
watched one episode last night. I'm gonna get into that pretty hard here.
Nice.
He's
is
such
it
a
a
cool
cartoon
guy.
or is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
animated, but it's like the life and times of like I watched the Blaze Foley one, but there's like Johnny Paycheck or like Rick James. It's
Oh,
country
really?
music and other, I guess, inspirational people of that era, the '70s outlaw era.
Yeah, it's like the country
Ooh.
music folk tell crazy stories, and then it's like
Mhm.
Beavis and Butthead style animations.
Okay,
It's cool.
Yeah. It's cool, yeah.
Yeah,
check it out.
he's a cool guy.
That's next week's.
That's next week's
Next
problem.
week's
Next week we'll
episode,
dig
yeah.
into fucking Mike Judge.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
Who
I don't
knows?
know. Got nothing else on tap.
No.
Before we started recording, though, I said to you guys, like, oh, I'm like pretty like 99% sure, like this specific JFK theory is the theory. And then right before we went live, I watched some quick like BuzzFeed like top 5 conspiracies, and all of them seem plausible. Like this conspiracy has so many loose ends that are all just like, huh.
Yeah.
So should we like outline the official story
The
first?
official narrative.
Yeah, do
The
you want to do
official
that?
narrative.
You're the lead to expert.
Well, that's great because I didn't do any research. I watched Oliver Stone's JFK last night, and
Well,
it
that
wasn't. It was more
follows.
like
That's basically a movie on the Warren Commission.
yeah, but like even
Yeah.
after the Warren Commission, I like for the longest time. It's a 3-hour movie, so I was like 2 hours in that it's just like,
Jesus Christ.
when does this movie even fucking take place? Like, did they tell me? Like, it's not like the Warren Commission already happened. Like, what the fuck? Who is this Clay Shaw motherfucker? Right? Like, but yeah. Okay. Anyways, official narrative was that JFK, in a motorcade with the open convertible, was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald. Shot him 3 times, or shot 3 bullets.
Mhm.
See,
Hit the president in the neck,
Neck. Yeah.
chest and genitals.
chest. It could have been the genitals,
It almost got that other guy in the dick though.
but so like the neck
Connolly.
was the
Connolly
neck and the
took one in the
shoulder,
tip.
and like one in the head, and one missed him.
Yeah.
And Conley got hit in the fucking shoulder, the arm,
The
and
hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
and the
dick.
other, and his knee, I think.
He got it the
Yeah.
worst.
Then the
Yeah.
on his penis.
Except for the other guy,
Except for the
right?
other guy. He got hit
and then-
the
so
second
that was-
worst in that car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forensics said that all the shots came from above and to the right from JFK. JFK was shot at around 12:30 and was pronounced dead by 1 o'clock that same day.
In Dallas.
In Dallas, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the official narrative of what happened that day.
Well, the official narrative is bullshit.
Okay.
Like, we all know that. That's not what happened. But it's always to, like, what degree of, like, how bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, Connolly openly states, like, I was not hit with the first bullet. Because I heard the first shot, and I turned around, and then I got hit. Like, he has
And,
said
like, the
that
crew,
on the record. In the Warren Commission,
has,
he testifies as saying, like, I heard the first shot, I thought, what was that? And I turned around, and then I was hit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
so
I don't
what
think
does
this
that
was part
say?
of the Warren Commission, but Jackie and the crew, so like Connolly included and whoever else was in that motorcade, said that they heard a flurry of shots coming from the front and the back.
Yep.
Like that's...
And people on the
record
ground
somewhere, too.
smelt gunpowder.
And people on the ground also told police that day that they heard the gunfire coming from the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
Or the train yard beyond the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
And people say that they've heard 4 shots instead of 3. And one thing I read said that they have since found evidence from a police officer recording that there was 4 shots fired.
I heard 6 from like
Up
an
to
audio
6?
analysis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, this one that I read just said that like this one recording you could hear 4 different gunshots go off. So you know, throws away the narrative that there was only 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
was
RJ,
magic.
you touched on it in our chat. Yeah, one of them was a magic bullet. You touched it on in our chat though. Like the whole 3-shot narrative, like they changed that pretty much right away.
Right.
Like they said it was one thing, like let's say the day of, the day after, and within those 4 days of it being, you know, taken over all 3 of the TV networks at the time, they had changed it. Which, I mean, happens because...
of course. I would like that to happen. Like, it bothers me more when, like, the first story is, like, 100% this is what happened. Like,
Changes.
I'm the kind of person, like, ideas fucking change. More evidence came forward. Like, okay. But
What about a
it
missile hitting the plane?
But yeah, it seems like the Warren Commission is based on we have 3 bullets in the book depository, so we have to build this situation around 3 shots. Because you have to think of at the time, like the Zapruder film and all that stuff, like wasn't available. Like that didn't come out until like the 80s or something. Like that was way later.
In the 70s,
Yeah,
I believe,
in the
yeah.
70s.
Like
but I
Geraldo
think
had
it
it on
was-
his TV show.
Yeah,
Someone
Life
but no, I
magazine
think
went and bought it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
somebody posted pictures of it.
Yeah.
Life magazine did.
But like I mean,
Yeah,
as
they
far
paid
as
50
like
grand
there
for
being
that.
like sound or whatever, like I don't think there's even sound on the Zapruder film.
no, I don't
No,
think so.
but like going with like, oh, there was at least 6 shots. Like no one had anything, so the whole Warren Commission is based on like, well, we found 3 shell casings, so there had to be 3 shots.
And I don't understand why, like, it would do them a favor if they, I guess not, because the whole Lee Harvey Oswald, they wanted to pin it on him. But, like, they could have just thrown some random other person under the bus and said there was 2 shooters and avoid all the bullshit. Like, why wouldn't they go that route? Why does it only have to be one guy and because he's a communist sympathizer, like he's the, you know, the ideal candidate?
I think it's just
Why wouldn't they just throw someone
has
else
to-
under the bus?
if it's the lone wolf theory, like it's the same thing with all these shootings that happen now in
Then it's
America.
not a conspiracy. It's
Yeah.
easier
And
to
it's
cover
not,
up a conspiracy.
It's not
yeah.
terrorism, right? It's like, it's
Yeah.
not a group of people that wanted to do it. It was one nut that just brought a gun to the book depository and off the president, not a group of people, a coalition, you know, or...
especially then, like at the height. Well, I don't know if that was the height. I don't know, but like the Cold War was a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
to say that, like, yeah, this guy had Russian ties, he was a defector, he tried to renounce his citizenship, he's guilty, like, that kind of puts a bow on the whole situation. Like, it's not like he was one of 3 possible shooters and we have no idea who the other 2 were. Because it's 1963 and gathering evidence is not a fucking thing. Like,
not really.
No, they don't know what they're doing.
Manifesting evidence is more of a thing than gathering it.
Yeah. Like, of course, like, you're getting shot at, you're going to drive away in the limo, but, like, what happened to the limo after? Like, I read one article that said that, like, clearly that last shot, like, came from the front. Like, that's why his head goes back into the left. And there's a, like, visible bullet hole in the windshield of that limo. And that's why, like, you cannot find a photo of the limo anywhere. Like, post-shooting. Because they just, like, don't want that to come up. Maybe they could argue, like, oh, that's an exit fucking bullet. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there is, like, a bullet hole in the windshield, allegedly.
Well, they do have a bunch of twisted theories about that one bullet that happened to hit 2 people and stayed perfectly intact. So,
I could believe it hitting 2 people and, like, it tumbling and going in a weird angle, because bullets do some wild shit. But as far as it being, like, intact, like, just rolling around on the floor, it's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, they found it on Connolly's stretcher.
Yeah.
Like some...
Oh, there it is.
Someone put it there, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right there. How did that get on the stretcher? Like, it just fell out of his body? It makes no sense.
Exactly.
Somebody walking by like, oh, you dropped this.
Like the fucking, you know, T-1000, like the bullet just like comes out of his skin, like it just gets rejected to going through his dick and his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I got reading more into like the stuff I was reading was talking about how there's evidence to support that Lee Harvey Oswald was a CIA agent.
Or a double agent.
His whole defecting to Russia or Soviet Union was all part of America's like spy plan, and that even after, because even like the evidence they say is like he defected to Soviet Union, tried to like denounce his citizenship as an American, didn't go through, and then came back with no repercussions.
Yeah, nothing
and the
happened.
State Department. And the State Department paid him afterwards for until he died. Like he was on the payroll of the State Department.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And he was under pretty intense surveillance and visited by the CIA on a regular basis, him and his wife and family or whatever.
Yeah.
No,
now I wouldn't be surprised
by the
if
FBI.
It's a little bit
like that was the one thing that I read that was really interesting. That raised a billion other red flags in my like conspiratorial mind. So the FBI was tracking him, but not the CIA. And this like conspiracy theories based on like, oh, if the FBI and the CIA talked, like they would know that this guy that's under this like 24-hour surveillance like works at the fucking book depository where this motorcade's gonna pass, and he lives in Dallas. Like that should be something that gets passed up the chain. But then the like counterpoint was, well, the Secret Service never released publicly the motorcade route. And then the next question is like, well, then how the fuck did he know to be there? And how did it just like total fluke? He brought his rifle to work, and like so much of that is so what? Like the CIA,
also like
they changed the motorcade
he wasn't
route.
An expert marksman either.
He was
like,
good. He was good. He got they say that he got like sharpshooter status, but like the lowest of the low and military like standard. But as far like even the simple part of the motorcade route wasn't released publicly, even the CIA didn't know in advance where they were going to go. Yet it happened to just go by him and his place of work, and he's like propped up on the 6th floor. Yeah, like something's rotten there. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, he brought his gun to work that day and was just like chilling at the window and was like, "Oh, there he is, bam."
Now in that movie I watched last night, at the end of it, like spoiler alert, there's like a part where like Donald Sutherland is like a CIA agent who takes like Kevin Costner's character aside and basically tells him, like, you're on to something. Like, I can't tell you what it is, but you're definitely, like, you're on to something entire. Like, you're right, basically. But you just don't know what you're stepping on, kind of thing. And he talks about how he was, like, in charge of a lot of stuff and got sent to New Zealand the day before the, before it happened. And he heard about it 6 hours after the president was shot and killed. In a New Zealand newspaper, he read 6 hours after the president was shot the entire backstory of Lee Harvey Oswald, and like to a T, like this newspaper somehow had all of this information where they still fully didn't know who the fuck had done it at that point.
Right.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
like
Lee Harvey
weird,
Oswald was arrested for shooting a police officer as he tried to flee. Like, he wasn't arrested for the murder of JFK initially.
And even when they pulled him in, right, like, he was like, I don't know what the charges are that you guys think I did, but, like, I didn't, you know, because, like, obviously it was, like, packed to the tits with reporters and stuff, right? Like, and I don't think he had a lawyer either.
No, he died really quick. It was, like, moving him from, like, county jail to, like, the city lockup or something, like, within
it was within a couple
3 days or something.
48 hours. Within 48 hours, both JFK and Lee Harvey Oswald died in the same hospital.
It's wild, eh?
And Jack Ruby also died in that same hospital, like 4 years later.
I think it was like a year ago, like Donald Trump did something like releasing like unheard of like CIA files or some bullshit.
Yeah, in 2017.
Yeah, it was recent, and I read that like yesterday. It was like a Vice, like 5 things to know, you know, in this like, you know, 2,000-page like revelation, and some of it was like pretty fucking sketchy. Like somebody called, like it was like a London newspaper and was like, be in contact with the American embassy. Big news today. And that happened 3 hours before the murder. Like, there's like little things like that, like media tip-offs and people reporting that to the CIA. Like, hey, we got like a phone call, you know, check in with you guys.
The Lyndon Johnson stuff where he was like, apparently he was quoted saying some shit like, oh, after tomorrow everything is going to be different, to like his mistress or something.
Right.
Which has been debunked, but who knows?
They said she was crazy, But
she reported. Well, this is what that like big, you know, record dump is. Like, whether or not that's credible, like the CIA hasn't a record that all these things happened. And maybe they did more investigation and realized she's fucking crazy. But like she says he said that before. And there's a record from Hoover, the FBI director, the day after saying job number 1 is all evidence has to point to Oswald.
Yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah, exactly.
All evidence has to point to him.
Yeah, like you had to convince the public that he was the shooter or something, right?
And I think that could be back to, like, I do think, like, obviously he fucking did shoot. Like, I'm not saying he's a patsy or whatever he claimed. Like, he did it.
He claimed he was a patsy, but basically that means, like, he was acting on someone else's behalf.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's not the mastermind.
No.
He's just the shooter.
But
or a shooter.
I think there is, like, again, like, back to what I was saying, like, whatever the Warren Commission says, like, that's not accurate. And whether you want to go all the way to, like, Russian spies, or it was just, like, you know, one other person.
What they think.
Yeah. Hoover
like the
saying,
Warren Commission said there was no conspiracy to it. That it was one shooter, he acted alone, this and that, and it's like...
But the Warren Commission itself is a conspiracy, because it was, like...
It was done by the people that did it.
Yeah, and it was Hoover's direction saying, like, we have to make this look at Oswald. And back to what I was saying, like, they just wanted a bow on this. Like, this isn't, like, some crazy, like, Russian, like, influence that can take out the president at any time. Like, this is just one fucking dude. This isn't Cuba. This isn't Russia. This isn't some big, you know, thing that we have to worry about every day. Like, this is crazy old Lee Oswald.
Yeah. I mean, but there was the committee for assassinations or whatever that was formed in like the 70s to investigate JFK, Martin Luther King, and they are on record saying that there was more than likely 2 shooters, and they did the audio analysis, the acoustic analysis, saying that there was potentially 6 shots heard, and that there is potentially a conspiracy. Like there's a record of that, the committee saying those things.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the theory that I'm leaning heavy toward, that it was an accidental killing from the Secret Service?
The motorcade.
Yeah,
Like
the
motorcade.
car behind them.
I didn't see, when I researched it this time, I didn't find anything about that, but I remember seeing that buried in another video years ago.
I'm really into that one. So that theory
That
says
shot potentially came from within the motorcade.
yeah, that theory says the first shot Oswald shot was a miss, and it banked off the concrete, and that's why there's like a bunch of eyewitnesses say that they saw sparks, and that and
like
Connolly saying he
too.
Yeah, someone got hit.
One bystander got hit
in the face with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Connolly says like, "Oh, I heard a shot before I was shot." So then the second shot from Oswald was the magic bullet that went through Kennedy's neck and hit Oswald in the chest, or not Oswald, Connolly in the chest and in the arm. And then the third shot was in the car behind Kennedy. It was like some new guy that had an M16 that just panicked and just, you know, in the process of turning the safety off and looking over his shoulder to where the shots were coming from, like let one off. And that explains why the first bullet like went through his neck and the second bullet blew his head up, because like Oswald was shooting with like a World War II style rifle, full metal jacket, and the Secret Service car is using like an M16, like a Vietnam style, like way more modern weapon that had like an explosive round.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, if you watch the video, like it still doesn't explain the back and to the left.
To the left.
But it does, like, that looks like a totally different bullet that just blows his head off.
Well, it doesn't come from behind him. Like
No.
the kill shot.
The kill shot does
frame
not come from the
313,
same spot,
you know?
for sure. Yeah.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Now,
Yeah.
I read recently.
And sorry, before you go into that, Skylar, I just want to say, and the wrap up to that was, that explains Hoover and the CIA and everybody covering this up, because they all know, like, fuck, we did this.
We did that.
Like,
yeah.
Oswald is still 100% guilty. Like, he probably would have died from being shot in the fucking neck.
Yeah.
Like, he probably wouldn't have lived in 1963 from that kind of wound. But
and that could also
we can't make this look
CIA,
like the Secret Service did this. So we're gonna cover
the
it up.
CIA could have been. It still could be affiliated with Oswald and all that shit too, right?
Yeah.
So now
maybe.
it's like now they're fucking double involved.
Yeah.
Potentially.
All right.
So what I was gonna say though is, like, I read an article not too long ago where this website I go to, I fucking love science.
I thought you were gonna say IGN.
JFK head explosion.
Yeah.
And they did it from where Oswald was. And they said that it's something to do with the forward movement of the car has something to do with the way he reacts, like just because he's already in motion.
Oh yeah, and the car sends him back.
Right.
And even like they are like he's getting hit and maybe they're pulling away as
Pulling
you know,
away
like
fast,
so they said that they recreated it. And when I was looking at pictures today, it like blew the side of his head off, basically. And there, like, I saw a picture of a bullet wound in the back of his head,
Back of his neck.
No, it was in like the
in
back,
the back
of his
head. He has one.
Like his hairline kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they say that it almost looked like it just like skimmed over his head and blew the front of his head off, or the back of his head off. I guess, right? Because it was like right around here. Like you can see pictures of him where like his beautiful face is still intact entirely.
Totally.
It's just like above
It's
his
like a
ear.
profile shot.
Yeah, they just took the side of his head off, right? And
Well,
so,
and like I don't know if we're jumping the gun here, but there is like the conspiracy side of this where they say the body was tampered with, right? Where like the first autopsy showed a small entry in the front, a large exit in the back. The brain was mostly intact, and there was like he was put in a bronze casket in a sheet, and that was in Dallas, loaded up in Dallas. And then when he arrived in Washington to do the autopsy there, he was in like a Vietnam style steel casket, like not the bronze fancy one for the president. He was in a body bag, and there was no brain.
Wow.
So
There's
and
a
they
whole
say
bunch
that
of
potentially
fucking shitty
that
stuff.
potentially body was tampered with, you know, within the transit there, to kind of prove the narrative that Oswald shot him, you know, back and to the right.
yeah.
Even in that like Trump dump of like information from 2017, like there's reports from like the typist, I don't know what you would call that person, like the secretary of the like Dallas medical coroner.
There's a word for that. There's a word. It's called bitch.
The bitch role. The type bitch from Dallas.
Stenographer.
No, not a stenographer. That's like the court person, but she's like the assistant to the medical person. And she says that the version of the medical report that's in the like Warren Commission, like now that those documents have all been released, like that's not the one she wrote up. She's like, that's a different, you know, size paper. Really? That's a different font. Mostly that's what I remember writing, but like that's not the one I wrote. Wow. Like a lot of that, you know, that doesn't prove, like this was like 55 years ago. Maybe she doesn't remember, but she was like adamant in saying like, that's not the one I wrote. That's different. That's a different font. That's a different paper size.
And that was in the release of the secret documents.
Yeah. It was not like
and there's
breaking news, like there's an entrance wound in the forehead or anything. It was just like, that's not the one I wrote. Like somebody rewrote what I wrote. And that's like enough to be like, well, why would they rewrite it unless they wanted to take one sentence out that no one would ever notice or something like that?
Yeah, totally. Something incriminating.
Yeah, there'd be no reason to rewrite it and, you know, add it to the Warren Commission unless they didn't want the original one in there for some reason. That maybe it said, you know, there's a bullet hole. Like the entrance room is in the front of the neck instead of the back of the neck. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
See, now this has always been my thing. And this is where it's like I still entirely struggle with it. Is just like when Jackie jumps out the back of the car to get the brain matter. How is that piece of brain going backwards when everything else is going forwards and he's getting shot from behind?
And she knew within like a cunt hair of a time that like
that's where it came from. Like she obviously sitting beside him going back to the left, like
she knew where it was coming from.
And she also knew that like he had been shot. Like she was like probably the only one in the car that really knew what was going on.
Because
right?
as that Connolly guy was turning around, that was when the head shot.
Yeah. Well, like he's holding his neck, right?
Yeah, he's holding his neck. She's looking, and Connolly's like mid-turn, like he's turning around. Or he's,
and
like,
so she probably even sees him get hit, like, you know, out of the corner of her eye. It would be like, you know, go through, and but her reaction was to jump back and grab that shit. She was like, you know, trying to get out of the car, but I don't think that's what she was doing.
Well, you can see her like doing this, right? Like she's like scooping or like
the Secret Service dude that jumps on the back of the car. I can't think of the guy's name, but he is her personal protector. Like that's a misconception that he's like Secret Service for the president. He's Jackie's bodyguard
or whatever,
and he has gone on the record to say that, like, you know, since then, like when he like ran up to jump on the car, it was to protect her, like that's his job. And she didn't even notice he was there. Like she was in a full shock, and he heard her say, like, look what they did to you, John. They put you're in pieces or something. Like, I got to put you back together.
Wow.
I think that's what she said. And she's just
Oh.
grabbing as many pieces as she could. Like that, like, yeah, there is some story like, oh, she's just like panicking and running. And then when the Secret Service guy jumps on the car, she sits back down. But he says like she didn't even look up and notice he was there. Like she was just grabbing shit and muttering to herself like, I got to put you back together. Look what they did to you.
Yeah. She thought, like, if I jam this back in...
She's just panicking,
Yeah, this will help,
and
right? It's like applying pressure to a wound or reattaching a limb, you know? It's like...
Yeah.
If you cut your fingers off, you can put them back on if you get it in time, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
if you stuff the hole.
And back to Connolly saying... he said that, like, he for sure heard the first gunshot. And he's also said, but not as, like, confident, he's, like, said on the record that he heard Kennedy say, they got me. Like, he heard that Kennedy say that. And people dispute that, saying, like, well, how did he do that if he got shot in the fucking neck? So maybe he didn't say that. But that... again, like, disproves this magic bullet theory that the bullet that went through the neck also hit Connolly. Like, it had to have been a different shot. And that goes back to what you're saying, Mike. Like, there's reports of, like, there's, like, 6 bullets. Yeah. So, like, Connolly could have been hit by 2 different... because he got shot in the chest and in the arm and in the leg. And they're trying to say that was like one bullet.
The chest and the arm one could have been the same because it was, like, his wrist and his shoulder. But the leg one, too, like, I mean, the magic bullet theory is it came from behind and it did all his rickabounding, hit him, and came out the wrist, lodged into his leg, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then
like that's the magic.
That's the magic
but, like,
bullet.
If he got shot, but maybe got shot from the back and it went through his shoulder and wrist, but then forward shot. I don't know. Who knows?
Or the other theory is that, like, the car was just under fire from a bunch of different directions.
Yeah, that's on record too. They said there was a flurry of shots, like front and back.
Yeah.
Like Connolly and Jackie both said that.
And if Connolly says he heard Kennedy say, they got me, maybe there's another bullet wound that they don't want people to know about. Because it doesn't line up.
Would definitely, having JFK the car...
Also having the car... In the shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
he?
There could be more than the 2 hits on Kennedy.
Now, I saw pictures, and I don't know, maybe I mixed it up with the other Connolly dude, but I could have swore when I was reading his autopsy report that they said that he did, like, the specula, right? Like, that's like your shoulder blade or whatever.
Yeah.
They hit the top of that.
Oh, wow.
And he had one in his neck, and he had one in the back of his head. Mm-hmm. So that's where I was confused.
Or the front of the head, more likely.
Yeah, maybe I think the one that went through I thought the one that went through his shoulder went through the shoulder and then hit that other dude.
Yeah.
But again, I skimmed through it, boys. I'm sorry.
No, you're usually the one that does the most expert research.
I didn't do any research. I didn't do any research this year because or
sick
this
for 40
episode
minutes.
because I subscribe to the theory that his head just did that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, though, like, if you watch the video, and, like, even though, like, the Zapruder film or whatever, like, if you watch that, like, I like the idea, like, it makes sense when you say it out loud, like, oh, he got hit from the back, and then the momentum of the car threw him backwards. I like that, but if you watch the film now, like, in hindsight, I'm remembering, like, the guy wasn't running and jumping on the car, and the car wasn't taking off until his head got blown off.
Yeah.
Like, the first shot went through his neck, and nobody knew, or they're just kind of, like... You know, just figuring out within, like, the 2 or 3 seconds, the car is not speeding off at that point. It wasn't until his head got blown off and the guy jumped on the back and the car really fucking picked up.
Right.
So it's like, if the car is only moving at that regular pace, it's not jerking forward, why would his head go back?
Who was driving? Was the woman driving?
I don't know.
No, women can't drive in 1963. You crazy?
That's right. What are you, fucking crazy?
What are you, crazy?
Yeah.
Let alone the president.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's the hole that
I think it was just another
see
CIA
in
guy.
the theory that I lean toward, that, like, the Secret Service guy accidentally shot the guy in the back of the head. Is exactly what you said, Mike. Like, the theory is, like, oh, it was in that, like, weird second of he's looking over his shoulder at Oswald shooting, he's turning off the safety, and then his car like accelerates, and that caused him to just fire off one round, and it by 1 in a million shot hit Kennedy. But like you said, like the cars didn't fucking go until his head blew up. After the first shot, no one really knew what happened, because it was just like, hey, what the fuck? Like, if you're not expecting someone's head to get like or get shot in the neck, like no one noticed him just like put his head down. And with
this is the international sign for I'm choking.
Yeah, he's like choking.
He looked like right at the camera. Like
he has a sore throat from waving and saying hello to everybody. Like thinking oh, he got shot in the neck. Like speed off. Like, yeah, that didn't happen until after his head exploded all over everyone
which was only a matter of a couple seconds. It was only 2 or 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah, as fast as it takes Oswald to reload and fire in that bolt action gun.
Bolt action.
So, and that's also like the thing, right? Was that it's like not. I don't think that it's not impossible, but like if you're lining a shot up. If you take 3 shots within like 4 seconds, like they say Oswald did, the chances of him getting that kill shot on that moving target on the third one, it's like that first shot is the one that is your moneymaker. The other 2 are your full on like just panicking now, trying to get as many off before he gets through, right?
You're ejecting the cartridge and then going back in. And then ejecting the cartridge and going back. I mean, granted, he's probably skilled enough to like not take his eye off the prize, but still, like even like the most skilled marksman they could find, like I don't know if it was a bunch of them or if it was one particular guy, like he couldn't get the shot off within 5 seconds. The 3 shots within 5 seconds.
Yeah, they're like
and with any accuracy.
The expert guy did it in 6 seconds, I think, 3 hits, but it took him 3 tries. Like it wasn't like. The world is on my shoulders. I have 1 shot to kill this guy. It was like he did it on his 3rd try. He went 3 for 3. Oswald didn't go 3 for 3.
With any accuracy? Like
yeah,
with any accuracy
he did it.
Distance?
But it took him 3 tries to be like, okay, ready, go. Fire off 3 as fast as you can. Oh, you fucked up.
But this is like their most skilled man.
Yeah. He was like a weapons expert. But then Oswald, according to the Warren Commission, missed the first shot. The first one was that ricochet that hit the like bystander, and then it was like 2 and 3 were both like direct hits.
The neck and the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the whole grassy knoll theory.
I don't even know where to go with that.
The tramps.
And the wildest story about the tramps. Did you know about the wildest tramp story, Skylar? You're big on stories.
I know. I think I know which one you're getting at.
Yeah. The father of Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
For real. For real, Mike.
What?
The father of Woody Harrelson. I don't know his name.
Woody from Cheers.
Woody from Cheers. I think his father was Stone Harrison. He was like a mafia like hitman.
Chicago
mob. And he was spotted in Dallas at the time. And arrested as one of those 3 tramps.
Wow.
That was allegedly at the grassy knoll.
Interesting. And people claim, like bystanders claim, that they saw a puff of smoke and they heard gunfire from that direction, and that's why they could smell the gunpowder. Right?
Apparently, too,
you wouldn't smell it from 6 stories up.
You would not smell shit from 6 stories up, especially downwind.
There's also accounts of like people in plain clothes on the grassy knoll flashing Secret Service badges and telling other people not to like, because as much as it was the grassy knoll, it was like a train yard that was on the other side of the fence that the grassy on top of the grassy knoll, right? So these 3 vagrants were just hanging out behind the fence allegedly, but nobody else was allowed to go back there. And I think they arrested them and let them go.
All 3. Yeah. All 3 of them under questioning at one point, and the odds that one of those vagrants was a fucking mafia hitman, like, what? Like, how is
And the mob does claim to be affiliated with the assassination of JFK, the Chicago mob.
Yeah.
They do claim
fucking Jack Ruby was part of the mob, and he cleaned up the mess.
Jack Ruby was... That's it. And he was like dying of cancer, so he was kind of like the throwaway guy. I'm gonna kill Lee Harvey Oswald and just die in prison. I'm already dying. There's nothing I can do.
See,
the whole mob thing. The mob thing comes. I couldn't find any information about it this time, but it's kind of somewhere in the back of my head. And it was like they helped Robert Kennedy get elected as the attorney general or governor or whatever it was.
Yeah.
In Chicago with all these ghost votes. Basically, the mob rigged the election and said, basically, we'll help you get elected, but you gotta, do something for us. It'd be a little lenient or whatever the case. They're trying to maybe get someone off of the fucking out of the clink or whatever.
Yeah.
And basically, then as soon as he got elected, he was like, "Oh, we're cracking down on the mob," and the mob was like, "Well, then we're gonna kill your fucking president brother."
Yeah.
Are you?
Are you? I think we're killing you right after.
I don't think Bobby was
the
governor of Chicago, of Illinois.
No, attorney general. It was attorney general.
Yeah, but I think, isn't that appointed by the president? Like, I don't think you get elected attorney general.
It was something though, like where they rigged up a vote. Or
my theory on it is basically partly like Bobby was cracking down on the mafia in Chicago as the attorney general, and like he was like, I'm taking down the mob, I'm getting rid of them. But what I think happened was JFK stumbled upon a plot that the CIA had, and I think the CIA was going to use the mob to kill Castro in Cuba because Castro had kicked the mob out of Cuba. Like, they were using it, like Havana was like this hot spot, like kind of like a Las Vegas, right? So he was kicking the mob out of Cuba. I think Hoover, the CIA, and the mafia had a plan to kill Castro, and JFK found out about it, squashed it, and then like basically told Hoover, like, when I get elected president, if I get a second term as president, I'm dissolving the CIA and you're losing your job. So then I think they then just turned their focus away from Castro to Kennedy, and then they also killed Bobby Kennedy years later for like the same basic, like, you're not running too, bud, like we did your brother, like, just be quiet. And then Ted Kennedy, they're just like, whatever. He's probably just gonna fucking kill a woman and leave her in a car anyways.
Yeah. Fucking Ted.
Flash forward
like 4 years and he's done it. Ted, no.
No, Ted.
But like all those conspiracies with the mob and the conspiracies, like, I mean, there's theories that it had to do with the Cold War, that it had to do with pulling troops out of Vietnam, that it had to do with, change of opposition against Fidel in Cuba, right?
Yeah.
And that would kind of that would put the CIA right front and center as, the people who pulled this off, because their agenda is being affected, right? So
it was
American
totally
agenda.
like a coup d'etat, and like
Oliver
Oliver Stone's JFK, like, they really hammered that point home, where it's like just the classic Caesar story, where like Caesar got killed by everybody around him. They all wanted him dead for different reasons, and when they all finally got on the same page about it, it was like, yeah, like, we want to go to Vietnam. We don't, it's the war machine, right? Like, pretty sure it was something stupid, like 3 days after Lyndon Johnson was sworn in as president on Air Force One. So like 4 hours after Kennedy was dead, that he signed the order to like send more troops, like before they were kind of just in like a peacekeeping scenario in Vietnam, right? Like, they were there to take care of Saigon and stuff, and show the Vietnamese troops, South Vietnamese troops, how to actually do war, kind of like what they did with like Iraq.
Right.
But then once Kennedy was dead, it was like within 3 days Johnson was like, oh no, we're going, like, we're sending helicopters, we're sending everything, we're going. And then that boosts like the economy, right? Like, the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to go to war with Cuba, but with the Bay of Pigs, but JFK refused to send troops and air support, even after like the Americans got shot at by Cuban soldiers. JFK still said, like, no, we're not bombing them, because of like nuclear war will break out, right? And
Yeah.
people were pissed about it because they thought he was soft on communism. So
One of the
and a little piece of American history too that's
Hit us.
interesting. I found out
Hit
through
us.
all this was that was the only time a woman ever swore in a president was LBJ.
really
really,
Yeah,
blood-soaked woman.
blood-soaked.
blood-soaked woman. Yeah, and like Jackie's standing right there too. It wasn't her. It was like the some
Yeah.
judge or
Someone
whatever,
else
right?
on the
But,
plane. Yeah.
Yeah.
One
Some
of
other
the
blood-stained
one of the
Only time-
theories I was reading, like to discount like Johnson being involved, was saying that he was sworn in as president to finish off JFK's run, whether it was like a year and a half or something. Like he wasn't president very long, but then he never ran himself as an like the next election. Like he just like stepped back. And they're like, well, clearly he wasn't involved, because if he was like power hungry enough to like kill the president, he would have ran for the next election.
Yeah, for another term. Yeah.
But to me, that like proves that like there's some shit going on, that like he's aware. Okay, the CIA is running this shit.
yeah.
You know, I'm gonna take over because they knocked that guy off. But like, peace, dudes. Like, adios, amigos.
Yeah. Do I want to be? Do I want to be?
Do I
Well,
want
and,
to
like,
run
Oval
against
Office?
Nixon?
Yeah.
Like, clearly they want fucking Nixon
Yeah.
in charge. Like,
Yeah.
But also, like, Johnson was in Dallas that day, so, like, is it so far-fetched to think that maybe before that trip he got told, like, you either get down or you lay down?
well, that's that's my point.
You know?
Like, he knew what was going on,
Got
and that's
hood,
when
eh?
he's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to finish
Yeah.
this out. I'm not going to object.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
I'm not fucking running for president. Like, clearly this is, like, the
Yeah.
CIA protocol. Like, if someone's in charge that's not towing the company line, you know, like, fuck this
Yeah.
job. Like, I'll finish it out.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
do what
totally.
you said. Like,
100%
I'll
would be
pass
like-
along this goddamn Vietnam bill or whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, as far as me making decisions that apparently if, like, I say, like, no bad pigs, like, I'm gonna get fucking killed, like, nah.
Potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he
if
he
the CIA is
learned, like,
responsible.
firsthand, like, oh, yeah, fuck this job.
Now, whether or not the CIA is responsible for the assassination, like they actually, you know, were the puppeteers of this whole thing, they are definitely
Yeah.
contributing force to the cover-up. Like, there's more to the story than we know, and that's on them.
Yeah.
So, regardless of their role in this, like, they've been doing that.
That's
You know?
where I stand. It's like, I don't know what level of conspiracy, if you go all the way to like it was an accidental like shooting from the Secret Service, all the way to Johnson
The
was
mob,
the one
or-
that
yeah.
orchestrated the whole thing. Like, it's in my hometown.
Yeah.
Like, I know everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know what level it is, but Warren Commission's bullshit. Like,
Yeah,
he got
totally-
shot
totally
from
bullshit.
at least 2 different directions, if not more.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
When you watch the video, it does.
So, I have to fact-check you here, because
Here
I
we
think, Lyndon Johnson definitely ran for president in 1964, and he won. He beat Senator Barry
He did.
Goldwater of Arizona.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
He was,
there you go.
Nixon didn't come around till the 70s. Like, Johnson totally, again though, like, so if anything, it's like adds credence to the like, you're gonna be in charge, and you're gonna do everything we want.
Okay.
Because I think,
Yeah.
Discrediting
that was
whatever
part of it,
fucking
like-
source I had that just totally said he didn't run again.
yeah, but it's totally just like, hey man, like look at, like I was gonna say, like the day before the big dance in Dallas, just like someone probably went to him, like look at, there's a bullet with your name on it that you're gonna take, or you're gonna be the president and do what we say.
Or
Yeah,
on the
is
total
there a bullet
other
with
side
your
of
name
it,
on
like
it?
he
There's
was
a-
one
Yeah,
of the puppeteers.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
there's so
that
much
too,
room
right?
to
Yeah.
maneuver here.
Yeah.
Well, there is I don't know how legitimate it is, but there's theories that he opposed President Kennedy in a lot of ways. I don't know much about that, but like they didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and there was I guess they were running partners, kind of at one point before he.
they would have probably
President
ran. Yeah, Yeah.
But then,
I feel like
but then President Kennedy got like the boost and okay, you're actually going to be the presidential candidate for this party, right?
Yeah, like they do that a lot, right? Where it's just like we ran against each other in the primaries, had really big base support.
It's like Bernie Sanders. And,
yeah, okay, but Bernie, so you won, but hey, Hillary, if you join me as my vice president, bring all your votes, right? Like I feel like Lyndon Johnson might have even been from Texas.
He was, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the first one, like, yeah, he was a Democrat governor of Texas. I thought I read that, and it didn't. I had to read it like 3 times. Like, really? Republican scum. But
I think that brings us to like modern politics, where like the line has changed so fucking much. Like, it's crazy to read these old like 1960s ideas of like the FBI is fucking scum at every level.
It feels very Wild West.
And then you're like, you're in 2018, and like FBI spying on people is like, yeah, that's fine, that's normal.
Yeah, everyone's doing
that.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bizarre, like how far, like left and the right have completely changed all the way over to the right. That like, what was left in what was left in 1963 was Lyndon B. Johnson. Like, that's fucking crazy. Yeah. Like, it's changed so much.
So much.
It's such a weird, 55 years.
There's a lot less acronyms for presidents, too. Like, there's LBJ, JFK.
Yeah.
Fucking, what's J. Edgar Hoover? JEH? I don't know. But he wasn't president, but still.
No. Close. Pretty much.
The acronym game, their acronym game was on point.
There's no 3 initials anymore. I think Nixon ended that. He just went by last
George
name
W.
like
Bush.
a villain. Yeah, George W. Bush.
Yeah.
But they only said that because his
like
father was also...
He was like George H.
Yeah, but they never called him H.
Something.
It was only George W. to separate George Bush from George Bush Sr.
W.
Yeah, no, for sure. Jimmy Carter. Gerald Ford, that's a real man.
Is he?
Anyway.
Is he?
He's a man's man.
He's a man's man. Yeah, but whatever, like, I don't know. Why can't somebody put a bullet in Trump's head?
Yeah.
I think it would be really interesting.
It's
like, you think of, like, they always say that, like, JFK being assassinated was, like, the end of the innocence of the USA. Like, it was the end of the American dream. Like, that whole bullshit started with, like, the end of World War II and the baby boomers, and, like, the U.S. all of a sudden is, like, a world leader. And then Kennedy being assassinated was, like, the bloom is off the rose. Since then, it's been downhill. And as 3 of us that are not Americans, like, I can't argue with that.
No.
You know, like, that kind of seems like it's been downhill since then. They were at the fucking highest of the highs. And maybe it took a long time to go all the way down, but like where they are now with a school shooting every week, like it's like pretty fucked.
Well, it's fucked when you think of it like between like JFK and Bobby Kennedy and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Like, they all died in that like 10-year span, and they all stood for like such like social justice and civil rights.
Right.
And literally all 4 of them got fucking their heads like blown off pretty much by the same like government faction.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a setback of just like, oh, you think you're standing up and trying to make a difference? Well, like, sit the fuck down, because we're just gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And now here we are like 50 years later, and like, you like to think that there's been some progress in the areas that they all kind of fought for their own little piece of the pie.
But just as much as the government wants.
Right.
Exactly.
Or
like,
allows,
We're not going to take, it's like, okay, Kennedy, we're going to the moon, all right? But
you can
the
have
blacks
that
and the women are not voting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, okay. We'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Right?
I see.
And then even then, he didn't even get there, right?
Conspiracy, YouTube videos always say that the CIA is the, like, #1 terrorist organization in the world. And it's really hard to argue that.
Yeah.
Like, you look at, like, Al-Qaeda, 9/11. Or was that... No, that wasn't even Al-Qaeda. That was the Taliban, 9/11. And it's like, okay. That was one huge fucking, mass murder. But the CIA's been fucking running shit.
Well,
secretly.
even just think about
forever.
When like Obama, not Obama, the other one, Osama. When they got Osama,
same thing,
his brother,
same thing.
But like, just think about how fucked that. Like, we just watched this movie called The Final Operation about Israel going to Argentina and kidnapping Adolf Eichmann, who was like the architect of the Holocaust,
right?
And bringing him back to Israel in the '60s, I believe it was, to stand trial for what he did during the Holocaust. And like, they did the same thing with Osama. And, like, just think of how fucked that is, that, like, this government has just completely invades a country, breaks into someone's house at night, fucking kills them, takes their body, and, like, gloats about it. Mm-hmm. And, like, Pakistan can't do anything about it. Like, nope. So you better not do that again, you know. Yeah. We won't tolerate it a second time. Like... Yeah. And it's like, that was one that we heard of,
and that's
because it was Osama, and it was
you
so high
only
profile.
ever hear about the ones that they want to brag about. And again, like in the position of Pakistan, like there's nothing you can do about it. Like it's a full like bully, giving you a wedgie mentality of like, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. Like if any country came into the United States and grabbed even like a senator from his own home, murdered him, took the body out into a boat, and fucking dumped it in the ocean. Like, nuclear war, of course.
No.
There's no
I
fucking,
feel like, you only ever
no
hear
other
about
option.
The CIA operations when it's like that, like a complete success, or like the total failures of like Waco, Texas, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, there's no middle ground. All those successes of just people that you don't, like Russia. You always hear about Russia fucking killing people all the time.
Right,
and you think it's so like, oh my god, I can't believe they do that. And it's just like, well, America does it too.
They do it. They're just better at sweeping under the rug.
It's under the rug.
And definitely, like, the reason why they publicize that shit in Canada, or predominantly the United States, is, again, to fucking push a narrative. That's all they do. They're just pushing narratives. And we're back to Trump. Like, just to segue back quick, it's like, the reason he's president to begin with, one, there's a lot of fucking brainwashed piece of shit people that voted him into power, right? Whether some of their intentions, I'm sure, are good, or they think their intentions are good, but the majority of people that voted him in are just fucking pieces of shit. But it's a distraction. It's a distraction from everything else that they're trying to fucking do behind the curtain, and it's the circus, it's the sideshow, and we've all agreed that it's okay. Like, everyone's just like, I guess.
Voting is a complete scam.
Did you ever see that stuff, like, about Snowden? And, like, all the things that... And, like, I remember getting in an argument with this dude, and it was about kind of around, like, when Trump got elected, and he was going on about, like, tyrannical governments and how you need to have a gun, because when the tyrannical governments come, they're gonna, like, they'll just knock on your door with their gun and kill you, and you won't have any way to protect yourself. And I remember just being like, dude, like, according to, I think I want to say James Snowden, but I don't think that's who it is. But Snowden, the guy who worked for the NSA, like, America now just has the ability to, like, break into your GPS in your car, take control of your car, and crash it to make it look like it's an accident.
Really?
Like,
yeah. It's happened, I think. Like, there's alleged stories that this has happened. Of, like, people criticizing, like Hillary Clinton or some shit all end up dead, and Clinton Foundation. Like, it's fucked.
Yeah. Wow. It's so weird, right? Like, and it's just that, like, if your government wanted you dead, like, they wouldn't come to your house with a gun. They would just shoot a fucking missile at your house from 4 countries over.
There's, like, a hostel here in Romania, where I'm currently living, that I don't go regularly, but, like, I think every week they do, like, a weird
show at the bar or something.
No, it's kind of like a international meetup, and they talk about, like, really, like, not PC topics. Like, I guess it's like controversy style stuff.
Like Nazis? Are you, like, describing the Nazis?
No, it's just like, let's talk about, like, exactly this. Like, let's talk about, like, revolutions. But
Yeah.
like, what is a revolution? And there'll be like 20 or 30 people there, and one of the hosts said like a few weeks ago, I haven't gone in like 2 or 3 weeks, but one of the last times I went, they're like, is revolution a real thing? Like, is that a real thing? And everyone's like, yeah, revolutions are real. And the guy that was hosting it said, if you were revolting against someone that was actually in power, would they allow it? And everyone's like, yeah, like, fuck Donald Trump. And he was like, yeah, exactly. And it really made me think, exactly. Like, he's not fucking in power. He's like some puppet. But if you were like online saying like, fuck, this specific CIA dude, or fuck this guy in Israel, or fuck Putin, like, no, that's not fucking. There's no revolution in Russia against Putin. Like, that's not a fucking thing. Like, you hear about like Pussy Riot or whatever that band is.
Yeah.
Constantly in jail all the time. Like, yeah, revolution's not a real thing. Revolution is like a parody or like a demonstration of like an idea. But if you're revolting against whoever's actually in charge, like, no. Yeah. And that was like, he was saying, like, the guy that was hosting this meeting was like, that's a way to like use your Geiger counter to find out like who actually is in charge. Like, who can you point a finger at and say fuck you and actually get like reprimanded? Like, that's who's in charge.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Point at Donald Trump and say fuck you and he'll block you on Twitter. Like, that's not a thing. But if you look at, the director of the CIA and start throwing mud there, like, that's a totally different thing. And start saying some shit against Israel or Russia, or even if you're like, fuck the Me Too movement or something. If you say something like that, like, that's someone that's actually in charge and has some weight. That's a way to judge like who actually like has sway in a culture.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And Donald Trump, the president of the United States right now, like, does not have much say. He's a figurehead. He is...
No, but the president never does. Like, that's the sad thing about it. It's like, oh, like, you get a choice, but it's like, no, you don't. You're still just picking between the two puppets.
Two people that were picked by the two parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that's... it. Yeah, whatever. Fuck America. Fuck them dead.
Yeah.
Fuck politics. Fuck
too.
voting.
Yeah.
It's all fake.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Should we get to some accident? Let's go around the table. I wanted to ask you guys, ask an expert, what theory stands out to you? I'll go first. I think, like I said earlier in the episode, I'm leaning toward the accidental shot from the motorcade behind him. I think that explains the Connolly hearing the first shot and then being hit with the second one. I think that explains why the first shot that hit Kennedy just went right through his neck and the second one made his head explode. Like, it's two different guns, two different ammunitions. It explains the two different trajectories, because watching the Zapruder film, like, clearly those two shots didn't come from the same spot. So I'm leaning toward accidental Secret Service killing. And that explains why the CIA was so like, everything has to point to Oswald, because we can't have this being accidentally fucking killed by our own Secret Service. Like, that's huge. We can't admit that. So
I like that theory too.
Change all the evidence to just point at one guy.
I just think if one of the fucking CIA guys shot him in the motorcade, you would see it.
CIA and Secret Service are not the same thing. CIA, I feel like, covered it up.
It would have been like, there were shots fired, and then that shitty cop over there blew the president's head off.
There is, like, footage, though, of, like, the second, like, in the Zapruder film, like, the car takes off, like Mike said, and then the next shot with the, like, follow-up car, like, there's a guy holding a fucking M16.
Yeah,
like,
that is a thing.
It is a thing.
Okay.
So
I just think you would have heard of that. There would have been an eyewitness that was like, yeah, and then this guy shot randomly.
Well,
But if you know the CIA is going, the CIA is going as far as to pin it on Lee Harvey Oswald, and obviously he did have some,
For sure.
likely had some role in this.
Yep.
Then they will do everything they can to cover that up too, right?
well, what do you
Oh,
guys?
yeah, I get
what
that
what
whole-
way do you guys lean?
I'm saying CIA. I don't know, man. I think the Chicago mob is just as likely responsible as the CIA. So those are kind of like my two favorite conspiracies. Is that the mob actually had something to do with like the death blow, but the CIA is responsible for, at the very least, covering it up. They might have orchestrated it. Who knows? I honestly. I like them all. The only one that I don't really give a fuck about is the LBJ one, even though that kind of pushes the narrative that the CIA was also responsible. So
We can't forget also that like the Kennedy fortune was all like a thing because of prohibition and running liquor.
Yeah.
Like that's where,
Bill,
you know,
dirty
Kennedy's
money.
father like got all that money, and why they're the fucking richest family in the United States at the time was because he was a bootlegger, which goes hand in hand with Al Capone and the mafia. So that link goes back to the 1920s.
Totally does.
It's not totally just like, randomly like, oh, he got in with the mob to win an election. It's like they were in with the mob for 40 years at this point.
Yeah, years and years. And that's a whole day's worth of research is looking into that. I'm going to probably do that more in my personal time, just as I have over the years. But the mob is kind of where I'm leaning.
Yeah, so I kind of said it earlier, so I'll just reiterate it. I think JFK finally realized that the hokey pokey was what it was all about, and his head just did that.
His head just did that.
His head just did that.
So you're saying Lee Harvey Oswald?
You're saying
Oswald? No, I'm saying his head he was thinking too much and his head blew up.
Oh.
He was like a Scanners kind of deal.
I like that theory.
Yeah, like have you ever seen the movie Scanners? Yeah.
Spontaneous head explosions.
Yeah, it's first ever recorded in history on the Zapruder film, but we got it. My question is, have you guys ever seen that Oliver Stone movie with JFK?
No,
I haven't.
And like, I don't know, Joe Pesci's in it. And
oh, really?
He's got like the weirdest fucking eyebrows in the movie. And then we looked it up, and like the guy that he plays, I think his name was like David Ferris or something.
Like was, big bushy eyebrows.
Like, you know how girls nowadays, like for whatever reason, it's like it's hot to like look like you've just smeared shit across your eyebrows.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Where it's like, it's so fucking unappealing. I don't get it. I'm sorry if any women out there, I'm sorry to offend you, but it looks bad. I also don't like front bangs.
I remember your story about front bangs.
I think front bangs look
what
like...
What other bangs can you have?
Well, you can have like some side bangs.
Okay.
Right,
okay.
but the front bangs just look like a Lego woman. You know when you have like Lego women and you can put their hat on, that's like their hair. That's what front bangs always remind me of, and it's like I can't unsee it, you know?
I'm a big fan of front bangs. Big fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah?
Yeah.
No.
Long.
It just looks like it's a wig.
Front bangs.
Yeah, not for me.
I feel like
poo eyebrows.
I like wigs too. I like wigs. The poo eyebrows. I draw the line.
I don't know what poo eyebrows are.
I don't really know, but I
don't know what that is.
Picture it.
I'm a fan of eyebrows, but I don't know what poo eyebrows are.
It's just
they're
like
just thick.
Yeah,
thick, and they're like a different color than their hair.
And they paint like over them, and like you can see the. It's just like brown.
You can see the skin. Yeah, like
yeah.
It's like it goes bigger than their eyebrow. That's what I'm picturing.
Okay, the coloring outside the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like poo.
Yeah. So my question was.
Yeah, I don't even know what my question was. You guys
something
like poo
about
eyebrows?
Poo. Something about poo. Yeah. My question was actually. My question was RJ's question, but I have one preloaded because I figured it would come up.
Back up.
It's not about sex this week. And I'm actually glad it didn't come up because this was my fallback question. But how likely do you think that the Umbrella Man is responsible?
I was gonna ask you guys about Umbrella Man.
Yeah. What do you think?
Zero
do you think he
chance.
did it? Do you think he had his penguin gun out?
So, do you
I
want to
don't
fill the
fully
viewers
know the
in on
story.
Umbrella Man? As far as I know, there's like a video of the assassination, and this dude with an umbrella doesn't react at all.
No, he's shown in the Zapruder film standing there, and as the motorcade passes him, that's when Kennedy is dealt the death blow.
And he opens up the umbrella, twirls it, and puts it back down.
Well, it was open while the president was passing him, but he did walk up with it closed, opened it up, and apparently he was pulled into the Warren Commission.
They questioned him,
Yeah, they questioned him, and he said that it was a protest that had to do with Kennedy's father and somebody that
Chamberlain. Prime Minister Chamberlain, yes.
Something to do with, like, it's because the guy had an umbrella, and that was, like, what he was known for, so this was, like, basically like a protest on the other side of, I don't know, whatever. And he had his fucking theory, or his story, but it's like, they can just get some random dude to show up with some random umbrella and be like, look, see, no gun. But there's a conspiracy side is that there was a gun enclosed in this umbrella, and that someone actually is on record saying that they did produce the weapon for like the American government. And it's hokey pokey. It's real fucking hokey pokey. But
not hokey pokey though. I give a lot of credit to Umbrella Man just being the like flag waver. Because if you think of Oswald in the book Depository, he has his back to where Kennedy is coming from. So he can't, like you said, there's like 4 seconds that the car is going to pass in front of him.
Marker.
He can't be like looking to his left, like waiting with his fucking gun out the window. Because someone's going to see him.
Goes up.
But the umbrella goes up, that means fucking get your gun out, Kennedy's coming. Ready. So I really, I lean hard toward Umbrella Man's accomplice for sure.
Affiliated.
Yeah,
I think so too. And
he's signaling everyone in the area.
No one actually says that.
No
one says that. Like you're not gonna find it anywhere that Umbrella Man was like the marker. But as soon as the fucking motorcade passed, like if you were to look like dead straight with the umbrella guy, as soon as he fucking hit the umbrella or the man holding the umbrella, his fucking head got blown off.
Yep.
So it's like he was very likely a marker.
Yep.
And affiliated somehow.
That's the way I mean.
Or it was complete coincidence that's just like so fucking wild.
But he doesn't react like, wow, that guy got his head shot off, I'm going to put my umbrella down. It was like a day at work. Like, okay, my job's done.
Apparently, he didn't see, what he says in the Warren Commission is that he didn't see the president get shot. So he wasn't reacting in hysteria as everyone else was. He put his umbrella down and went and sat on a bench and sat there and talked with another guy.
Everyone else is dropping to their stomach, covering their head.
Yep, or running.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just calmly puts his umbrella away and went and sat on this bench.
Or maybe he's just like the only smart one and be like, hey, if you ever go to like an event where the president is speaking, bring an umbrella. Because there might be a shower of brains flying at you.
There might be some brains splashing.
Maybe that's
gotta protect his hat, right?
I didn't see him get hit because I knew what was coming, officer.
On record saying he didn't see it. He didn't understand the hysteria. He heard the gunshot but didn't see the president get shot, and so that's why he wasn't acting hysterical.
Right.
Yeah, it's just... So how likely? That was my question. How likely?
I think it's very likely. He's involved in some way.
I think it's unlikely.
Something's that. You're thinking unlikely? You think it's a total coincidence? Yeah. He opened his umbrella, guy got shot, he put his umbrella down, and then just like wandered off.
Yeah. I think that not everything you see in that footage has to do with the murder and assassination of a president.
That's fair.
Okay.
Right? Like, it is like, how many other fucking corners did they go through? Or maybe there was another guy doing the same thing. Or some girl had her titties out.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
throwing panties, yeah.
Yeah, throwing panties at him. And that's why, like, Jackie was pissed at the start of the video because, like, John just got hit with some panties in the face or something.
Well, they do go on record. There's, like all the footage of that day, the various cuts in other parts of the Dallas area and with all the crowd. There's no one with an umbrella.
Right.
There's no one.
But, I mean, like, his whole day was documented, too, right? Where, like, you know, at the one of the first functions he was at, the lights turned off. It's like, was that a sign too that like, hey, this is how, like, you know, it's just,
I know it's easy to poke holes, but
there's
it is
some
uncanny.
things that you're gonna see that are just, like, I also don't really buy the fucking machine gun thing. I don't think that RJ's theory of the
You don't think it adds up?
guy shoot.
Came
Nah,
from
I
a
don't
can.
think. I think somebody would have saw that. It's way easier to be like, I don't know what's going on when the president's head's getting blown up, but when the car behind him, there'd be a muzzle flash. People would have saw that. There was more evidence to support that there was shots fired from the grassy knoll than from inside the motorcade. It's like that. The call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
But if people are paying attention to the president's vehicle, like
They're
primarily, right? Like 99 out of 100 people are paying attention.
They're not
to the
watching the
vehicle.
other cars.
They're not watching the car.
But
Plus,
what about
a
the people
gunshot.
behind
Plus, there's
them?
already a gunshot, though. There's already a gunshot, and people within 3 seconds, right?
Allegedly,
There was
2
Lee
gunshots
Harvey-
already.
Allegedly 2 gunshots, and then the guy with the rifle he wasn't like comfortable with, fumbling, and like it all happened in a split second. I like.
It's possible.
I like
the only reason I lean
There's
toward
also
that.
evidence, though, with the man in the umbrella that, like, he even said, like, he didn't know what was going on.
Well,
right?
that's your
So,
side.
like,
I
just 'cause
think
you hear
Umbrella
that-
Man was involved. Like,
But no one knew
I
him.
don't
like,
think
they just put out a thing. They were just like, "Hey, umbrella guy, come forward," and some random dude walks in with a random umbrella. It's like that could have been.
Well, what
you
about
know,
the
the
babushka
CIA's
girl?
plot? Hey,
The who?
You guys
babushka
ever heard-
girl, yeah, or something.
I don't
the
know
woman
what the,
with the.
there's something there too with the babushka girl where she
Totally.
was.
Who
Maybe
she
she's
didn't
a
react
time
to
traveler. Yeah, I don't know.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Time
she didn't
traveler.
react to the killing either.
No, there's some.
Yeah, there is
weird-
something
There's
like
some
that.
dumbass
There's another
people though
story.
that like anything could happen in front of them and they have no idea what's going on. They're just like, "Wow, the cars
Yeah.
are going fast now."
Brandon
she could-
Dassey.
Yeah, the
Is
Brandon
there-
Dassey of fucking Dallas.
Yeah, he'd probably confess to it.
Oh, Dassey confessed to everything.
Totally, he would have be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we
Oh,
pulled
fuck
his
it.
teeth out.
We shaved his head and we
Cut
pulled
off all
out.
his hair.
Yeah.
Let's move
No,
on
Brendan,
to
no.
our fan Ask an Expert for
Wow.
you
We
know
got one.
second week in a row. Look at us,
Fish on.
fish on, reel it in, boys.
Bitchin'.
Brian from
Bitchin', yeah.
Toronto messaged us the other day, and he said, "Hey experts, Stan Lee's ghost visits the experts one night and gives us all superpowers. What are they, and what would our cool superhero names be?" That's a good one, Brian. Way better than fucking Dennis. Like, suck a fat one.
My fuck Dennis, yeah.
Yeah,
Fucking doesn't know the
fuck
metric
Dennis.
system.
I've always liked the idea of being able to shrink. So like, go
More
tiny.
than just your dick.
Not like Ant-Man style. Yeah, well then my name would be the micro penis. Like, that's,
Spelled like Mike,
that's
like
my
your name.
superhero name.
Yeah,
Yeah, like my name.
Penis. Yeah.
Yeah, micro
Yeah.
penis. And I hadn't heard this question until like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah,
But
I kept
that's-
it from you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
You
one.
did.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I've
funny.
always
See,
liked the idea of like shrinking and micro
And
penis
doing
is
what?
perfect.
Shrunk. Doing what? Why would you shrink?
Just being able to, dude. It's a superpower. You don't have to save the world with it.
No, I'm not saying you guys to save the world with it. But, like, why
Is
would
that
you
a
shrink?
superpower? Is that like a fucking super deficiency?
Just look at shit all big? Like, why would you shrink?
Yeah.
Look at that big table.
Yeah.
Sneak
look at
into
the grades of
museum
this
at night,
table.
man.
I always
Yeah.
thought like invisibility
be
would be a
used.
cool.
Not
Because
just
you're a
if I
fucking
perversion.
creepy dude.
Yeah. I would want to be invisible just so I could like rob banks. I don't think
We're
that
both
would be
getting
like,
really pervy about it.
yeah.
I think they're all
But with that
pervy.
said, me and the roommate have an inside joke in my home that like I already have a mutant ability.
Okay.
I have the uncanny ability to see people and tell you within 5 seconds who their doppelganger is.
Oh.
Whether it's a celebrity or just like
Oh.
a person I know. It happens a lot
Yeah.
in our home. Yeah.
I would.
I don't know
Who
what
the
my
fuck
name
is
would
my
be called.
doppelganger?
Yours is like any woman over 40.
Wow.
I shouldn't have asked. I knew it. Yeah, I do look like a lesbian, especially when they
Bingham
shave
on the
my
left
mouth
over
shave.
here.
Really?
Like it's where it is.
I signed an autograph one
Yeah.
time as Chester for
There it is.
a
see?
mentally handicapped kid in the Guelph Mall, in Stone Road Mall.
Oh,
I was passing through the Stone Road Mall one time, and this like handicapped kid got so fucking excited that I was in the mall, and I was just like, what? And then when he was like going through his backpack and exposed his Linkin Park CD, I realized, why he was so
You thought
excited.
You were that guy.
So I had to sign it.
Did you sign it? Did you
I
sign it
signed it.
like one step closer to the
I just
edge,
wrote Chester. I just
Oh
pretty much
my
did a
God.
CH and then a squiggle. Because I didn't know the
Nice.
guy's last name. I'm not a
Amazing.
Linkin Park fan. I just wrote like CH squiggle.
Yeah.
But this fucking like kid was so excited, gave him a big hug.
That's fantastic.
Took his picture. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was
Yeah.
before cell phones. This was like 2005, 2006. Well, not before cell phones, but before iPhones.
Before the handicap had cell phones. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have a cell phone. God, no.
No.
He doesn't even have a belt.
Fuck no.
Just an extension cord.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
just tape.
But
What about
like
you, RJ?
speaking
What's
of,
your
I wanted to
secret power?
like run off your doppelganger theory. Like I've been living in like at least 10 different countries this year. I see doppelgangers all the time, and it is friggin' creepy. Like to think of like
Yeah.
connect. What's that game where there's like people everywhere and you have to pick? You know the one, and you
Clue?
like Clue, not Clue, the one where you flick the heads down.
Oh, guess
Oh.
who?
Guess who?
Yeah.
Like there's
yeah.
so many, there's only so many combinations of like facial
It's a-
features.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
every day I see someone, I'm like, that is a spitting image of this person I know. Like not so much like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a, Jay-Z's equivalent. Like not always celebrities, but it's like,
people you know.
that could be the sister of
Yeah.
this person.
Yeah.
Like it,
There's
Yeah.
one person that's on our friend group that I see more often than not, and it's usually women
Yeah.
that look identical to him. I won't say his name, but Big Willie,
yeah.
right? We all know
Yeah,
who
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about. Yeah. And like he's just got that face. He's got that fucking face.
Right.
Like the nose and the features, and like I always see like chubby women that look identical to
Wow.
him. Like everywhere I go. Like it's so often.
Just
man.
a selfie
So,
in
so
every
often.
photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe you said every woman over 40. That's great. But I don't have a,
But do
when
you
I
have
don't
a,
have
do you have
any
a
facial hair, I do
superhero
look like a
name for
lesbian.
your invisibility? Your fucking creepy
Yeah.
superpower?
Oh my! Like I don't even know.
That was part of Brian's question. We need a super name.
I think I'll just go like Stan Lee style and just call myself the Doppelganger Man.
Denny
Just add man to
Dennison.
the anything.
Fucking Denny Dennison.
It's also like a Hollywood, like I'd be like the caster. Like I could cast a good film.
Oh my
I've
God.
given a lot of thought to
What a
superpowers.
power.
Surprise, surprise. And I
You
would
what?
want the ability to fly, but I would never
Okay.
tell anyone I could fly. And I would just use it to be like a really good basketball player and make a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the way.
Like
Or
I would just
like when
jump like
Instead of doing the drunk run home, you do the drunk fly home.
I wouldn't do that. No, never. I would never fly.
Never?
I just have the ability to fly. But I would just be able to
Yeah.
jump like really good and like win the Olympics and
Mm.
shit and be like a basketball player and win all kinds of money.
Yeah, yeah.
But like
Yeah, fair
Like
enough.
5'9" like, this
RJ
guy's the best
who's got a
dunker of all
5 foot
time.
vertical.
Yeah, he's just like a regular size, like skinny white dude, but he can jump higher than everyone. He just kind of floats like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no science behind
That's-
that.
So it comes back to making money.
It always,
Right.
yeah, just
Yeah.
being the total.
It's either perversion or money.
Perversion.
There's no reason to have a
Oh
superpower
yeah, if you get to
otherwise.
Except
pick
for
your
you
power.
just being shrunk for no goddamn reason.
Well, you could sneak into a bank. You could sneak into a
What are you
chain.
gonna
What
take
would you
with you?
steal?
What would you
Fucking
steal?
perversion.
Just roll a
Money.
The
penny
friggin-
across the floor.
But you could
Like a
unshrink
tire.
real quick, load it up, throw
Fill
it
your
out, shrink.
pockets.
And
But are
then
your
if-
clothes growing too? And like your bags? You haven't thought this through.
Don't ask.
How are you
these
getting
questions.
that bag of money
Don't
out the
ask.
door? Like, just because you're shrunk doesn't mean that no one's gonna notice a huge bag of money going out.
Yeah.
Well,
you'd have to eat the
unshrink.
money.
You
have to
eat
get-
the money.
Eat the money and then
big.
dump it
You
out.
blend it.
and then shit it out.
Yeah, or stuff it up the hoop.
I'm just gonna be
Yeah.
like on
But then I feel
posters
like-
and shit everywhere. I'm gonna merchandise the shit out of my ability to jump 7 inches higher than the average NBA star.
I'm just
Wow.
gonna fucking rob shit and masturbate a bunch. That's what I'm
Oh yeah, no. As soon as you said you were shrinking, I was like, you just want to shrink in between
Yeah.
people's toes and
You
jerk
think
off.
that's like slightly less creepy than like being invisible when someone's taking a shower? Because you're visible, but you're
Or
like the
shit.
size of an atom
Yeah.
with binoculars.
Fetishes
Thinking, like,
would
you know what?
change.
Your binoculars
Your fetish
shrunk
game
with
would
you.
change entirely,
Yeah.
right? If you could go invisible, your fetish game would just like completely change.
See, but I think if you were invisible, also too, I'll go on this route, and like again, it sounds creepy, but like, the Purple Man from the Marvel universe has the ability to persuade people to do whatever they want, whatever he wants, and I feel like that could be like, go rob that bank for me.
Yeah, that's
And-
better than being able to shrink. Fuck that. Fuck that guy.
But you would just like, do you have people to do whatever you
Fuck
wanted
that.
and to do your bidding, and you could just be like king somewhere underground, and anytime you
Yeah.
got caught, you'd just be like, no, it's not me. Go kill yourself, pig. You know?
So now, if you're invisible, like, is your ejaculate invisible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
no.
question. Yeah,
Because
like,
if you're invisible and you touch somebody,
fluids.
they'll feel you.
They'll feel
See, if
you
you
Yeah.
splash them with some warmth, they're gonna feel that.
with a little warmth.
fuck is
little
that on
heat.
my
What the
arm?
fuck was that?
Yeah.
Fucking.
cold.
Yeah, but are they gonna
It's a
see
wet
it?
breeze in
Is it
here.
gonna-
I think it would be it's a wet breeze.
And
It
then,
would be
like, if you become
invisible.
uninvisible, it would become uninvisible
Yeah.
and just be like a dried cum stain
Yeah,
on
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Ugh, yeah. It's just like all over their sweater. Like it's
That would be
As
your
long as you're
perversion.
invisible.
You would invisibly cum on people and then go to the next room and ching.
yeah.
That'd
And
be your
take
perversion.
I think that like you would, if you came on them, it would be invisible, but because it's outside of your body, it would probably begin to become transparent. Not
Visible?
transparent again, lucid, visible. I don't know what that word is. So it would
Just
just
parent.
be
Start
like
as
a,
It's not transparent.
Yeah, you got like
Start
a
as
half hour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you fire a load on someone's chair before they sit down, you got a half hour to get out of there.
What? That's
Before
fucking
you're
I'm,
like-
I'm
dangerous.
changing my power.
You can give
I'm
people,
changing my power.
uh,
I want to be invisible too.
You can get people pregnant like that. You can't be like blasting all over chairs.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, but dude, that's like how Jesus was born. I'm sure of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Somebody was invisible and just blasted on Mary's chair.
it's probably like a goat or something. She spent the night in the manger, didn't she? In the shed.
Yeah, she did. Probably. I heard it wasn't her first night either.
Whoa.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm surprised no one said time travel.
No, that's not important. I want to live in the
Right.
now. I want to be rich basketball player, just jumping 7 inches higher.
Teleportation would be pretty sick too.
Like,
Yeah, teleportation. Yeah.
but like
That's-
a really
I think I'm a
obvious
time
like
traveler.
Nightcrawler one where you like blast into dust and shit. Like that doesn't help.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You bamf. It's
I don't want
referred
to
as
be like a
being,
superhero
as
that
bamfing.
everybody knows what you do though. I don't want to wear some
Is it?
stupid ass costume every day. Like I
You
just
don't have to wear a costume. You can do it naked.
how can you
can be
blast
naked and
into
invisible.
dust and no one notices that?
Just doing cartwheels down the street, dick out. No one would see.
First
I
things
just think
first, learn how
It
to
always
cartwheel.
comes back to, like, if I could pick my own superpower, I would just want to be able to rob people.
Oh yeah, I'd be with Magneto
yeah,
for
like-
sure if I was in the X-Men
yeah,
universe.
I wouldn't be saving people's lives.
God, no.
like
You don't
an
think I'm
X-Men.
robbing people as a tiny person? Oh yeah, sneaking up.
I
on 'em?
think you would want to
Thinking-
do
yeah,
that. I just
right.
think you haven't thought it through, and that's a terrible way to rob somebody to get as small as possible.
I don't think you've thought through, but
They just step on you.
Just fucking, they're gonna step on you. You're gonna roll your goddamn
But you gotta
coins
think-
out like
you
a
gotta think,
tire.
Like
Like,
when something's really giant, it moves slower,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like your perception is that it moves slower.
yeah, like ants run fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their reaction time is different than
Yeah,
ours.
true.
So you think you'd have
Perception
better
size.
reflexes because you're small.
Yeah, you'd see it coming. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, think of all the giants in every movie. They're just big lumbering giants, right?
Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
But
It's
no
like all perception.
little tiny person in a giant movie is stealing the giant's shit.
Jack and the Beanstalk, buddy.
Jack
This
and
is
the-
true, Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, he struggles
Yeah,
to get
old
that
Meg
goddamn
suck
key
it.
out of his pocket. That's one key. You're not stealing
Yeah, but then I can get
billions
big
of
again.
keys.
I can shoot back up, regular size, regular penis size. Fucking grab the shit, stash it, shrink, run away, come back.
Okay.
You know, I'm a
When
master
he's
of
not
disguise
looking.
too.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
clearly.
I just think there's like you might as well just be invisible and you could just come in and blast.
Well,
all his
I'm
arms.
going to. I've already
He's
decided
already
that we're
changed
gonna
it.
fucking team up.
Yeah.
We're gonna team up. Invisible coming on things. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
in. I'm in.
Casting
If
people
that's
in
what we're
Hollywood
doing, I'm in.
films.
Yeah. I'm totally in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well,
We're gonna invisibly fucking reject RJ every time he goes up for a slam dunk.
Oh,
Just
you can't do
invisibly
that.
bam!
That's my plan.
he can jump really big, but he can't fucking
He-
put the ball in the
He
basket.
keeps coming up short by
Yeah.
2 feet every single time.
Wonder why.
And there's
Everyone
laughing.
that touches him says he's really wet and sticky. I don't know.
99% of the crowd is like gasping in awe, and there's just audible laughter on the court.
Oh,
Hot,
man.
wet breezes.
There's a hot, wet breeze hitting everyone in the front row.
Oh man.
Okay.
Oh, that weed's catching up with me.
Oh, RJ's
Oh, he's
gone.
gone. Yeah, he got so jacked up there. He just button mashed like crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was just upset.
That was a
he
great
couldn't-
question. That was a
Yeah,
great
it was.
question.
Thank you, Brian, for that.
So if he's gone, are we still recording? I don't think we're still recording if he's gone.
oh, is
Like
that
I'm not
what it
I'm
was?
not stopping it. I'm just saying. Like he's
Yeah.
not recording video anymore, right?
Yeah.
We'll just
Oh
wait
well,
for him to
video's
come back.
overrated, anyways.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no.
that was
So
great.
So should we like I don't know if anybody else has a question that they want to send to the experts, more than welcome to.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be shy.
No, we'll talk about it for half an hour. You know, I mean, ideally, that's where this show goes: is we ditch all the topics and just answer fucking questions and go off on tangents, right? Like that's where I want to
That's
see
the
this
dream.
go.
Yeah. Someday.
That's the dream. We just have 3 or 4 or 5 random questions that we can do, or you know, tons, copious amounts of questions, so that we can just fill a whole hour with answering people's questions. That's where I want to see this go. You know,
Well then, by golly, that's where we're
Hey,
gonna
I'm back.
take it.
that's where we need to take it. Yeah.
Oh hey.
What the
Didn't
I
fuck
got
fuck
happened
dropped,
to you?
man. What the fuck? That scared the shit out of me. For the people at home, my computer is like the home base for recording everything, so I panicked real hard. I thought maybe we lost everything.
It's all
But
still going.
it said, no. Well, this is a new file. I guess I'll like splice it into your separate files, but I have like an hour
Oh, yeah.
35 in a different file, whatever. We were laughing too
Okay,
hard and
okay.
it broke the internet.
Well, let's bring it back around. When you were gone, Rue was saying there like everybody, you know, please send us more questions. We enjoy this, and I was saying that basically like that's where I want to see the show go. If we can just kill an hour answering questions and talking about random shit, like that's what I see
Yeah.
for the future of the show.
I
That's
had
how I want it.
way
Fuck
more
topics, fuck all that.
interest answering Brian's question than fucking JFK. For sure. Like
Way
JFK
more.
is
Way
interesting.
more
I'm gonna
fun.
watch that shit on YouTube at night. But as far as us talking about it for an
Yeah,
hour,
I'd
yeah,
rather
I
answer
want more
5
personality
Brian's
out of you
questions,
guys
yeah.
and from Brian and
Mhm.
fans at home. Dennis,
Dennis.
please answer us back,
Oh,
Dennis.
fuck Dennis. He's never.
You fucking idiot.
Dennis is never allowed to on the
If
show
you're from
again.
Sudbury, like, please know the metric system before you fucking reply, you goddamn mouth breather.
Wow.
So is that it for the week or what?
Do we have any more
questions,
questions?
please.
That's
more
it.
questions.
That's
Send
it. That's it. We got
That's
in the
it.
mail. We got one question out of
Yeah.
That's
our
fine.
YouTube video for
Gotta
like
start
I don't
somewhere.
know. I don't want to peek behind the curtain because I don't really give a shit about numbers and all that shit. But our Stephen Avery episode had like 120 views in 1 week. Like that's pretty sweet. for like 3 people that don't
Best
know
one yet,
shit
yeah.
about anything and just make this up as we go, to have like 130 people tune in every week, like, thank you everybody that watches this. Like, that's so cool. We're gonna keep doing this.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Send in questions, and yeah, maybe we'll move toward just like answering random ass questions.
I would like
Add
that,
in.
yeah.
Do a whole episode.
I'd
of
like to add in
questions.
more like personal stories. I think those are way more fun to tell than going through Lyndon B. Johnson electoral history.
Yeah.
Not too interested in that. I haven't told a story about like throwing up
But when
on
you
anything in a while.
completely make it up, like the guy never ran for
I didn't make
president.
that up. I honestly read that in an article, but apparently that article
Really?
was just bullshit. Fake
Yeah,
news.
just making
Well,
up.
maybe
facts.
he didn't run. Maybe he didn't run for.
Maybe
a
it was he
second
didn't
term or
run for the
something.
second term.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably he could have run for a second term because you can only be
Yeah.
elected twice, and he wouldn't have
Right.
been elected the first time.
First
Right,
time,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they fudged the
Yeah.
facts.
Well, anyways, I hope he's
He's
dead.
dead for sure. Oh, that was another question I wanted to ask. A secondary Ask an Expert. Do you think,
Okay.
as far as the legend of JFK goes, like he was better off being assassinated than living to old age?
Yeah,
like as far as like a
obviously,
storybook, like that's a
His
people talk
legacy,
about that fucking
yeah.
guy all the time.
Who would
no
you,
one gives a
like,
shit about George Bush
if you're gonna
Senior.
die,
Like that guy's still alive.
yeah, if you're gonna die, how would you rather die? Would you rather go out as like John
Mhm.
Lennon, like top of your game, getting shot in the back by a crazed fan, or
Mhm.
Elvis Presley, like taking a shit
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a toilet, someone finding you bare ass and shitty in your
Yeah.
fucking toilet?
Yeah, I think you've answered the question there.
Good
Yeah.
analogy there.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
That's
Nobody wants
No
to be
one wants to be
Elvis
Elvis.
with a
No.
pooey bum.
good. Yeah.
He would make a great ghost with
But
his
like
pooey
you're
bum,
assuming
that's all
he
I'm
had
saying.
a
I
pooey
believe it.
bum. He might have just been
Throwback.
sitting on that
Throwback
toilet
to
for a while,
episode
like
3.
just dry.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Do you like? I don't shit out of a golden asshole that doesn't get.
Well, my point is
Messy.
maybe he never even got to that point.
Oh no, he dumped.
He left
his
a little
shit.
Yeah, he
piece
was
back there.
crowning, dude. He was crowning.
Yeah,
Crowning.
He was
Yeah.
like his
he
his
was.
like apparently his assistant, like his buddy. The first thing he did when he walked in was flush the toilet because the king had left.
Well, it
his,
might have.
like
It,
his
it could
royal
have been
air in the
anything.
toilet.
Could have been some like hemorrhoid blood or something.
This was
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. That was the king of rock and roll was in the toilet. If you know what I'm saying.
It could have been anything. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
Is that the next? Is that next
What
week's
did-
episode?
what did Elvis lead? I'm leaning towards some hemorrhoid blood.
Peanut butter
Just
banana.
a splash of
Oh,
the red
I'm
stuff.
saying grilled peanut butter and banana. That was
He
what
was
he was
known
known
for
for,
that.
right?
it's probably
Hot
hot
dog.
dog. I'm
Full
going
hot dog.
Yeah, he looked
unchewed,
like a fucking gross
just slid it down
motherfucker.
his gullet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just dipped it in water like those Asians do. Just,
Wow. Okay, we
Okay.
we
They're
want
good
to
at
answer
eating
more
hot
fan
dogs.
questions. Pretty much email
We
at
do.
gmail.com. Thank you, Frontline Fiesta. We'll see everybody next
Right
week.
here.
Oh, on
On
the
the lapel.
lapel. Look at that. Beautiful. Love you guys,
Wow,
Frontline
yeah.
Fiesta. Sick jams. And we're going to
Fuck
play
yeah.
that right now. See you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.
bye.
That was fun. Oh, I gotta piss. Thanks everybody for tuning in this week. We are Pretty Much Experts. You can check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube. While you're at it, go have a look at our Facebook page. You can ask an expert any time of day or night, whatever you like. And if you're into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. We want to hear from you, baby. Thanks again everybody. Tune in next week. We are Pretty Much Experts, and we love you, I guess.